Hello, I received the question on my Instagram channel if I am concerned about the peg of stablecoins. I am very concerned, and I think everyone should be concerned. So, but probably you already heard about what happened with one of the major stablecoins, UST and Terra Luna. I think we need to look at just what is the stablecoins, their role in the infrastructure of cryptocurrencies. We need to look at the issues that the situation highlighted. We need to look at the implications and on potential opportunities. So let's start from identifying what are the stable coins are and what is the equivalent of those in the traditional markets. So the stable coin by definitions should have pretty much zero volatility. Majority of them are pegged, the main ones are pegged to dollars, US dollar, and they should be accruing usually certain interest when you deposit them in different projects. If you look at the size of the market, the overall cryptocurrencies total market was just above $2.7 trillion at the end of last year. Now it went just under $1.4 trillion. Out of that, Bitcoin is around 40% of the market, just above, and Ethereum is just under 20%. So if you look at all the cryptocurrencies put together, they are just about 160 billion. Out of them, Terra Luna and specifically UST stablecoin was around, I think at the top, around $18 billion. So $18 billion magically disappearing literally over 1 week time. It's a very significant event. I believe in the short history of the cryptocurrency, it has no equivalent. However, if you look at traditional markets, and if you ever watched Mary Poppins, then you probably remember the scene of a bank run, when a little boy just asked for his coin back, and that created a panic when two ladies overheard that, spread the rumors, and then the whole market, the bank actually collapsed, because when the whole London basically heard about the story. So let's look at the issues in the situation. So how the traditional market work? In traditional markets, if any stock moves on majority of the exchanges, if you remember from situation like September 11, or even in, let's say, for example, in commodity markets, when there's significant market move, either specific equity or specific instrument stop trading, subject to certain movement up or down, and potentially the whole exchange can be shut down, as it happened when September 11 happened. Because when people are in the panic mode, when people are just selling, it triggers, some selling triggers more and more selling. Because if you see, for example, let's look at a simple situation. For example, you use your stable coins to borrow some risky asset. Let's say, for example, you have UST, and you borrowed it against Ethereum, right? And you invested Ethereum for whatever purpose, right? What happens is you should monitor how Ethereum goes up and down, right? Because you borrowed Ethereum. If Ethereum actually goes up, it's bad for you, and Ethereum is going down, your liability becomes less. In normal circumstances, you would not monitor what's happening with the stable coin. It's the same thing, for example, if you have your account with a bank and you borrow, let's say, Amazon against this thing, if you believe, let's say, Amazon goes down. So at that time, what you want to monitor how the Amazon is moving. So if Amazon goes up, your collateral ratio becomes worse. But you don't want to monitor the performance of your current account. So the situation as it happened is equivalent to, for example, when you've been watching the volatile assets and all your attention was on those, but you've been relatively confident and relaxed about the performance of the stable coin. I think This particular situation is very dramatic. Many people had all their life savings, so a big percentage of those in that particular stablecoin. So the situation is very dramatic by the impact on the people, but it also should create a very important lesson for us to learn and to make sure that we're prepared for the similar situation happen in the future. If you look at the market, as I said, all the stable coins is around 160 billion. Out of them, basically the top 7 stable coins are above $1 billion, right? So obviously USDT is the biggest and it's roughly half of the market, 75 billion. And during this week, there was a moment when actually it looked like the USDT may also have a problem when it went down 5% over a very short period of time. If you look at the performance of the stable coins, the circulation of all of them, surprisingly, because you would think that they would absorb some liquidity from the market and actually circulation will increase, but it looks like circulation of all stable coins goes down, and the only coins that absorb and increasing in circulation, absorb the cash, is USD coin, USDC, and Binance BUSD. So what happens is actually, if you think about it, there's a movement from decentralized coins to centralized coin, right? Because BUSD obviously is supported by Binance Exchange. So that's, I think, is overall is the concerning development. So what else we're looking? What else we can learn from what happened? So first of all, as we said, we have no circuit breakers. Second thing is there's a lot of discussions about the potential manipulations in the market, and there was potentially certain organizations and certain people who've been interested in pushing down Terra Luna. So that manipulation, if anything like that would happen in traditional markets, the regulators will be all over it. And what is interesting, the blockchain is supposed to be very transparent. So all the transactions are recorded, and that will make for regulator much easier to react on what has happened. Here we actually, I don't know, people trying to look basically there's a different rumors, there's a different theories put forward, but there's not one specific government body or regulatory body or decentralized body that can say, okay, we'll look at it and we'll make decision and we'll hold people responsible. One more thing is, which is highlighted in this case and overall what's happening over the last few months. I think you would see more and more. Obviously, there was a lot of hackers probably from the day Bitcoin was created. There was a lot of people who were trying to hack into your wallet, steal your money, and so on. And hackers, majority of them quite technically minded. What happens now, I think there's more and more we see and hear and learn about exploits. Exploits are different from hacking because hacking is equivalent of stealing. Exploits it still requires certain technical knowledge, but it more requires understanding the weaknesses of particular project or the model and requires sometimes significant capital. So for example, in case of the Terra Luna, the pegging was triggered by using around $300 million, right? So if people have access to capital and people have understanding what needs to be done, they can actually affect the price of certain crypto quite significantly and in a relatively legal way, in terms of you cannot catch people red-handed for them doing something that the system doesn't allow to do by definition. And the final thing that I want to talk about in terms of the issues that I see in this current situation is that it's consumer protection. Again, in case of the bank run, in case of you've seen certain banks going down, in many countries, deposits of the people, cash deposits with the banks, are protected by the government, sometimes to a certain amount. In this case, Again, you can see on the Twitter and overall on social media, people talking about certain compensation, but it's not clear who will compensate, how much, who makes decision, how and when people will be compensated. No, it is very clear what funds will be available for that compensation. So it looks to me that more or less that $18 billion kind of magically disappeared. So the implications for us as investors, I think the main implication that we need to be diversified. We not only need to diversify across the risky asset, but also now we need to diversify across the stable coins. So we cannot, however attractive it is, whatever is the market capitalization of the stable coin, we actually need to, we need to diversify across several stable coins. It probably will be similar to, like for example, that if you have money, you want to probably have several bank accounts rather than one to keep, or maybe even different geographies. So you will have money sitting in different countries with different bank accounts. If any particular bank account, each particular bank will have an issue, that you should not be affected. Second implication, I think, is that you need to do much more research. You now need to understand not only how the risky assets are performing, how the projects are structured. You also need to understand the concept and the mechanics behind the stable coins or less volatile underlying in the future. Because, for example, in the case of the Terra Luna, people probably should have learned that it was under-collateralized. So I think in the future probably we'll see more ways of collateralizing the stable coins. Also, I think in the future probably people need to think about how to implement certain liquidity management systems. And again, one thing I don't think that actually centralizing regulation is the solution for crypto world. I think it still will be decentralized, but there must be certain way of controlling situation like this for it not to appear again. Finally, I want to talk about the opportunities. So I think there's two major opportunities that I think becoming instantly visible. As the market goes down for the last few months, I think now we see the tipping point, because with this situation, I think the fear is now significantly exceeds the greed. When the fear exceeds the greed, the valuation becomes very attractive. So I think the investors should look at specific top crypto coins. I would definitely not start looking now at the so-called shit coins or smaller market capitalization. But I think very significant projects one can invest at very attractive valuations. Second opportunity, I believe, that will become available is that the new stable coins will come to the market. And as they will grow, I think there will be opportunity in having very attractive returns, investing into those coins, potentially up to 30%. So for example, what we can see now on the Trend network. And I think that is something that you should look at. I want to thank you for your attention, and let's tame crypto together. Thank you.